Hi everyone and welcome back. Okay, so we're going to go through linear relationships today and I've got a few questions for us to go through. So let's look at this. It also says if the point -3, 2 lies on the following two lines. So we need to show substitution and our conclusion. So the way to do this is to remember coordinates are always written in the form of x and y. So we just need to sub these values in. So wherever we see y, we want to substitute 2 in. And wherever we see x, we want to substitute -3 in. And we're going to do that both for the first equation and also the second equation. So let's just do them one at a time. Let's just do equation 1 first, equation A. So we got y equals x plus 2. And we're going to sub in our values. So y was 2 and x was -3. And we want to know if this equation works, if the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. So let's write out what we've done. We've just subbed -3, 2 into equation A. And if the equation holds true, then the point is on the line. And if the equation doesn't hold true, it's not on the line. So that stays 2, and -3 plus 2 is -1. So we get 2 equals -1, and that's not true, right? 2 does not equal -1. So therefore, we conclude that the point, which was -3, 2, is not on the line, and the first line was y equals to x plus 2. So that's our conclusion for the first one. What about for B? Well, we do the same thing. So we substitute it in. So let me just make myself a bit of room. Let's move that up here. And maybe I could add myself a page. Okay, so my next equation, my second equation is -2x plus y equals to 8. -2x plus y equals to 8. And the point was -3, 2. So we wanted to know if the point -3, 2 is on that line. So remember, we just need to substitute that in for x and that in for y. So we're going to write out my equation. Wherever I see x, I'm going to substitute -3. And wherever I see y, I need to substitute 2 in for y. And we want to know if that equals to 8. Okay, -2 times -3 is positive 6. And we don't even need to write the positive because by default, if we just have a number, we assume it's positive. So we've got 6 plus 2, and we want to know if that equals to 8, which it does. 8 equals 8, left-hand side does equal the right-hand side. Therefore, the point -3, 2 is on the line -2x plus y equals to 8. Nice. So that was good. If you got that, if you follow that through, all we're doing is substituting it in and seeing if it does lie on the line, if the equation does hold true. Okay, what about sketching linear relationships? So what we're asked to do is sketch each of these, label any intercepts or points used. So the first one is this, y equals -3 on 2, and it wants us to use the gradient and the intercept method. Okay, so any equation can be written in the form of y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. This is done very well for us because it is in the form of y equals mx plus c. So m is -3 on 2. Remember, the gradient is just the rise divided by the run, and my y-intercept is 1. So in coordinate form, it is 0, 1. So I have everything I need to draw this graph. So let me draw my Cartesian plane. Okay, so let's draw out my intercept first. So it's at 0, 1. And my gradient is rise over run, but my gradient is negative in this case. So that means it's gone down by 3 units and across by 2 units because it's minus 3 on 2. So down by 3 and across by 2. So it's going to be somewhere over here. So what coordinate is that? Well, remember we're at 0 first. Sorry, let's look at the y value. This is a common mistake. People always look at the x value. The y value is at 1 and we've gone down 3 units. So 1 take away 3 is -2. So my y value should be -2. What about my x value? Well, it's gone across by 2 units. So it was at x equals 0, but we've gone across by 2 units. So it would be 2, 2, 2. So we only need our 2 points to draw a line. So we've got our 2 points. Let's connect them and extend our line. And we should label our line. That was y equals -3 on 2x plus 1. And we'll just write the points right next to each other. Very good. That was nice and fun. Okay, what about b? And it's told me to use the x and y intercept. Okay, so we need to work out what the x and y intercepts are. And remember, at the x-intercept, all we need to do is substitute y as 0 and then solve. So let's write out this equation. You've got 2x minus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to substitute 0 in, and we're going to solve this. So minus 3 times 0 is just 0. So you have minus 2x, take 0, which we could just write as minus 2x, and we're told that equals to 6. And we want to isolate that x, so we're going to get rid of this -2. So you're going to divide both sides by -2. So x equals to -3. So my x-intercept is -3, 0. Okay, let's work out my y-intercept. Some of you may have already guessed what you need to do for this. So for your y-intercept, you have to substitute x as 0. So let's write out the equation, -2, and instead of x, I'm going to put in 0. Minus 3y equals to 6. Minus 2 times 0 is just 0. So you're left with minus 3y equals to 6. And we want y by itself, so you're going to divide both sides by -3. 6 divided by -3 is just -2. Y equals -2. So my y-intercept in coordinate form is 0, -2. Let's just highlight these so they're easy to see. So you only need 2 points to draw a linear graph. So we've got these 2 points. And now we could draw my Cartesian plane and try sketch these on. So let's try. I'm going to run out of room over here, but we'll just plot this. Hopefully you've got lots of room. So my y-intercept is 0, -2. Let's say that's over here. And my x-intercept is -3, 0. So you just need 2 points to draw a line. Let's draw a line, and you should use a ruler and extend this line. And because this is a sketch, we need to definitely label our points. So that was 0, -2. This was -3, 0. This was my x-axis. This was my y-axis. And your graph should look something like that. Very good. Okay, the next two are fairly simple. We've got y equals to 3. So, draw my Cartesian plane. Label my axes, x and y. So, y equals to 3 just means that it cuts the y-axis at 3. So it's basically a horizontal line and it cuts it at 3. So that point is just 0, 3. And that is my equation, y equals to 3. That one's nice and easy. And so is the next one actually. X equals -2. So again, let's draw my Cartesian plane. Or my axes, let's label them x and y. And x equals -2 is just a vertical line that crosses the x-axis at -2. So if I had to say what that point was, it would be -2, 0. Boom. X equals -2 if you had to draw that. Nice. So horizontal and vertical graphs are hopefully quite easy. And you understand how to draw graphs working out using the intercept method, which is actually my favorite because it's using algebra and I love algebra. Or you could use the gradient intercept method. And you should really be familiar with all the ways we draw graphs. Nice. Okay, and then we've got another one here. I want us to draw this. So we've got y equals -3 on 4x. So they've not even told us what method to do, so we could use any method. So I'm just going to sub in some coordinates. So let's sub in when x is 0. So y would just be -3 on 4 times x, which is x is 0, y also equals to 0. So this graph goes through my origin, 0, 0. You could have recognized this already because it's in the form of y equals mx plus c, and the c value is 0. Okay, we just need one other coordinate, and I'm going to substitute x equals to 4. So the reason I do that is because you get a whole number, because it will cancel out the fraction, but you could sub in any value you want, but let's sub in x equals to 4. Sub x equals to 4. So y is -3 on 4 multiplied by 4. So the key is I saw there was a fraction here, there was a 4. So if I substituted 4, I know these two would cancel because it's 4 divided by 4. And when you do maths, you love this cancelling. It makes everything so easy. So we get y equals to -3. So in coordinate form, when x is 4, y is -3. Perfect. Just 2 points to draw our graph. So let me draw my Cartesian plane, x, y. Let's draw in my arrows. And we know it goes for the origin, which is 0, 0. And when x is 4, y is 3. So let's say that's roughly here. That's just the 2 points we need. Connect those 2 points. And extend that line. That should be a nice straight line. My graph looks a bit wonky as well. Hey, can I make that a bit neater? There we go. And I might try to draw my line again. Does it let me? I've got the magic eraser, which is, oh, it's so confusing. Okay, I don't know, it's gone a bit weird. Let's see, so it should look something. That looks better. Okay, and sketch, so we need to label our points. 0, 0, our origin. In this case, you probably don't even need to label your origin because you could see it goes through your origin. I like to label all key points. The reason being is when somebody's marking your work or looking at your work, you want it to be easy for them to mark as possible. So make it nice and clear. And that's my point for -3. Nice. Okay. How about this question? State the gradient and y-intercept of each line. Okay, so firstly, we have y equals to 3x take 2. And this is exactly in the form of y equals mx plus c. So m is our gradient, which in this case we could just see is 3. So m is 3. And c is my y-intercept, which is -2. So y-intercept, and try write it in coordinate form, 0, -2. Nice. That was nice and fun. Okay, let's do the second one. Let's just make some room. Okay, so this time for question B, we have 3x plus 5y equals to 15. Okay, so we want to work out what the gradient and the y-intercept is. So we need to make it in the form of y equals mx plus c. So we need to make y the subject. So we're moving the 3x to this side. So we're left with 5y equals 15, take 3x. And then we want to get rid of this 5, so y is by itself, so you're going to divide everything by 5. So you've got y is 15, take 15 divided by 5, which is 3, and we could just leave that as a fraction. So minus 3 on 5x. And we could just write it like that. So you got negative 3 on 5x plus 3. So my gradient is minus 3 on 5. And my intercept is just 3. So in coordinate form, we shouldn't call that c, we should call that the y-intercept is 0, 3. Very good, very good. Okay, so final few questions. Well done if you've got this far. You might as well keep going. We've only got a few more questions left and we're hopefully learning. So find the equation of the following line. So we're told 1 point, it's got 4, 11, and we're told the y-intercept it is 3 or 0, 3. So I'll just write that in coordinate form. So that point is 0, 3. Okay, so we want to work out y equals mx plus c. We know the intercept is c. We're trying to work out the gradient. And to do that, we could just say it's rise over run. Let's see if I could even draw a triangle. Okay, so it's gone across by 4 units because this was at 0 and then it's gone to 4. And how much has it gone up by? Well, it was at 3 and it's gone up to 11. So it's gone up by 8 units. So my gradient is just 8 rise divided by run, which is 2. So my equation is y equals 2x because my gradient is 2 and my intercept is 3. Beautiful, that was nice. So that's all you have to do for that, to work out that equation. What about this? Okay, we've got 2, 5, 4, 2. So same thing. Let's draw my triangle. Okay, so what has it gone across by? Well, it was at 2 and it's gone to 4, so it's gone across by 2. This time it's gone down, so it's not gone up, the gradient is negative. It's gone from 5 to 2, so that means it's gone down by 3. So my gradient is negative 3 on 2. So we've got y equals negative 3 on 2, x plus c. Okay, we don't know what my y-intercept is in this question. So we need to work that out. And to do that, we could just choose either the first point or the second point. I'm going to choose the second point and substitute it into here. So let's write out the point. It is 4, 2. And remember, it is in the form of x and y. So instead of y, I'm going to put in 2. And instead of x, I'm going to put in 4. And we're trying to work out what c is. Okay, so that stays as 2. We've got negative 3 on 2 times 4. So that 4 can be divided by 2. And it just simplifies to 2. So you have minus 3 times 2, which is negative 6 plus c. And then you can move that over here. So 2 plus 6 is c. Therefore, c equals to 8. Which kind of makes sense. If you look at your graph, you could say, yeah, the y-intercept looks like 8. So you always do a sense check to see if it's correct, to see if it looks good. And then we just write out our equation. Y equals negative 3 on 2x plus 8. Nice. Well done. Okay, to last question actually. Last question. An equation of this graph. Well, we've done a few like this. If it is a vertical, it's just crossing the x-axis. So it's just going to be x equals to whatever number it crosses at, which in this case it is 5. So x equals to 5. Beautiful. So that's all the questions I wanted us to cover today. Well done for getting through this, for watching this far. It means that you're dedicated, that you really love maths. Let me know how you went, if this made sense, if you have any questions or any other things that you would like me to cover. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.